Entries in the community broadcast category are restricted to our smaller Canadian over-the-air or online broadcasters and the journalism of local or regional interest they produce. Eligible entries would have aired on local network stations, independent stations, and online broadcasters' local newscasts. There are 4 finalists in this category. The first finalist is Nick Murray, whose entry Nunavut Spends was broadcast and published by CBC News Iqaluit. Murray chased the dollars on how much money territorial government had spent on the Northern Lights Conference in Ottawa. Turns out it was over $572,000.
At North Whale Cove MLA John Main raised the issue in the legislature earlier this year. Main, the former president of the Kivalliq Chamber of Commerce, says he doesn't question the value of trade shows, but he says with so many issues in the territory, it's important the government spend its limited amount of money wisely.
There are people going hungry. There are children going hungry. There are people without homes. There are, mental health issues. There are healthcare issues. When we, as a government, when we waste money, we are taking it from housing programs. We are taking it from food programs.
The second finalist is CBC News Nova Scotia's Carolyn Ray, who submitted a selection of pieces from the station's series called The Search. The Search looked at the shortage of physicians in the province and highlighted some strategies that could help in recruitment efforts, which led to some changes in practice and approach.
So, Carolyn, I guess there was some good news on the doctor front today, though, wasn't there?
Absolutely. So the province announced today it is dropping geographic restrictions on new doctors. So, for example, if a doctor wants to set up in Dartmouth, they now qualify for debt relief. In some cases, this is worth more than $100,000, so quite a bit of money to put on the table. In the past, to qualify for that, physicians had to work in rural areas, but because the need is growing in urban centers, it will now apply to anybody who wants to set up shop, so that should help the situation.
The third finalist is CBC Newfoundland and Labrador radio program On the Go host Ted Blades, with his entry titled, "We Didn't Think We Were Doing a Lot." What is the value of remembrance? And how do we recognize those who take a step to ensure it happens? Blades' entry was a follow-up to a 2016 documentary on a London, England school that had adopted the graves of Newfoundland servicemen. In 2018, they traveled to the province and were surprised at the reception and connection to their acts.
My name's Rachel Croft, and my child's Alice Goldberger. I was wondering if we were getting a skewed view of things, you know what I mean? But then, like yesterday at the parade, when people were going, "Thank you, Patrick Spotter," right? Not even... they're focusing on us rather than the military. It's extraordinary and very touching, and I get it, now.
For us, we came out expecting to give thanks to the people here, for the efforts and for everything that they've contributed. And it's been amazing to hear that come back again to us.
The final finalists are Lisa Xiying and Lu Zhou for the entry Chinese Student Guardianship from CBC News, Toronto. A family in China is the victim of an extortion scam involving their child sent to study in Canada. Detecting a pattern, the 2 journalists work to determine just how the safety of these students is monitored, or isn't. The work went viral overseas and led to at least one call for improvements to how these youth should be welcomed into our schools.
At least one school board is pointing fingers at the federal government to regulate who can be a custodian. Right now, that person just needs to be a responsible adult and a citizen or permanent resident.
We as a district can disallow that custodian and tell the parent they need to replace that custodian. However, there's no mechanism with IRCC where you can file a complaint and they'll respond.